Okay, this says we're live. Good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. It's Sam, if you couldn't tell, with another author interview for you today. I'm here with author L.S. King, sci-fi author, also known as Lee. Hey, Lee.
Hi,
How's it going? Good, good.
good. How about you?
Going well. Yeah, it's a Friday with mostly a free Friday, which I could use. So
It's always
we're here.
good.
What's that?
That's always good.
Uh-huh. We're here to talk about reading, writing, publishing, sci-fi fandom, and more, and all that stuff. Lee is a sci-fi author, and you've written I believe, a space opera series called Deuces Wild. Is it kind of a space western? I saw the cowboy hat in the front.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I blame John Cook for that. I was working on a different series, still am,
Mhm.
and he was starting a an online science fiction magazine, space opera magazine called Ray Gun Revival.
Okay.
And he bushwhacked me into being a part of it. So I'm officially a co-founder of it.
Oh, nice.
But he was like, "Oh, let's do like they used to do in the old pulp, uh, in the old pulp magazines, and let's do a month by month serial thing. You can do a story for us." And I said, "No." And he
Okay.
said, "Oh, come on, it's fun." And I'm like, "No, I've got a different series I'm working on." And he said, "Just for fun, give it a try." And I said, "Well, what in the heck would I write about?" And he said, "Well, what's your favorite subgenre of science fiction?" And I said, "Space opera." And he said, "What's a totally different genre that you like?" And I said, "Westerns. I've got a complete set of matching Zane Grey hardbacks, just saying." And he said, "Okay, why don't you just do a mashup and see what you come up with? And we will do a couple of chapters as a monthly serial thing.
Cool.
And we can do more if it catches on. And if it doesn't, then, you can let it go." And 3 books later, I guess it caught on.
I like it. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I'll ask you in just a minute, tell us more about the series and what's going on with that. Yeah. But I'm grateful that Lee is sort of here today and agreed to be with us and answer some of our questions. So as always, I have some questions prepared, but I also want to make this an interactive discussion. So if you're watching today, if you're a fan, a reader, a sci-fi person, an aspiring author yourself, maybe a friend of Lee's or a friend of mine, then post your questions in the chat about reading, writing, publishing, fandom, or any of those topics because we want to hear from you too. Okay, so Lee, for those who aren't familiar, I mean, you told us a little bit just a minute ago, but can you tell us kind of an overview of your major books, like whether that's Deuces Wild or some of your other series, and just who you are as an author and what you've done, that kind of thing?
Ooh, well, I have 2 series. I put the books here so I could grab it. This one is the first book of the one series. It's from the Sword's Edge Chronicles.
Cool.
It came from a dream I had in 1985, and it wouldn't go away. And after about a decade of trying to repress it, it just all came out. And then, of course, the other series is Deuces Wild.
Okay.
And the first book of the series is this one. It was first published in Ray Gun Revival, and then it was published by Double Edged Publishing. And when they went out of business, I got my rights back and republished it myself and went on to do more books of the series. So yeah, that's the 2 series I'm working on at the minute. I've got some short stories that aren't related, but not many. I'm too much of a perfectionist.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. It sounds like you've got some diverse interests then. Deuces Wild, I believe there's 3 books. Is that,
Mhm.
I was looking at it, and the other one, The Sword's Edge, is there 3 or 4?
There's 3 books in the series. Number 4 is being written. There's
Okay.
also a standalone book. It's technically a part of the series. It takes place 1,000 years before Sword's Edge, but it's a completely different planet. It's a straight up science fiction dystopian slash colonization book.
Huh.
You can read it totally on its own with knowing nothing about Sword's Edge. So
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting. Cool. You told me, and let me make sure I got this right. I asked you before if you were doing like sci-fi and fantasy because the Sword's Edge looks like more fantasy, but do you still consider it sci-fi, or what's the genre there?
I call it epic science fantasy because it's an epic story. It's got the big long overarching storyline that goes on for books and books, affecting, a lot of people, affecting their whole planet, their whole culture, but there's no magic. There's no dragons, there's no wizards, there's no fae, there's no nothing like that. It's all forgotten alien technology being rediscovered. And of course, if you don't know the technology, it seems like magic.
Okay. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, there's this concept of like, magic is indistinguishable from technology, or
Right,
advanced technology will look like magic. That's cool.
right.
No, I like how in both cases you're blending genres, and I mean, I'm a sci-fi guy myself, but you're taking things that are familiar, and kind of mixing up the tropes and playing with them in different settings. It sounds cool. Okay, cool. How did you get interested in writing sci-fi? Like, what are your favorite books or movies or anything that maybe inspired you to write?
Well, I cut my teeth on The Outer Limits and Twilight Zone,
Okay,
and then on Star Trek.
yeah, the original.
Oh yes.
Okay, okay,
I was a Trekkie before it was a word.
yeah,
I
yeah.
went to Star
Did,
Trek
I
convention.
didn't want to assume your age, but
I was an original Trekkie from 1966.
it's
Yes.
awesome. It's awesome. Yeah.
And I went to conventions when they first started off. I missed StarCon 1 in Detroit because my parents wouldn't let me go. I
Hmm.
went to all the rest of the StarCons until we left Michigan. I also went to OurCon in Lansing, made my own costumes, won I won prizes at every single cosplay. Well, they didn't call it that back then.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I cosplayed before it was cosplay. I was a Klingon. I was an Orion slave girl. Complete green skin, black hair, the whole deal.
That's awesome.
I still have the one trophy I got from OurCon in 1975.
I'm very impressed.
Yeah, when I dive into something, I dive in all the way.
You
So
are a nerd.
that was a large part. I was also into things like Dark Shadows, which
Okay.
One of the things that affected me in Dark Shadows, and I didn't realize it till I started writing. I have one published short story. It's actually a flash. It's exactly 1,000 words long.
Okay.
And it was picked up and published by Hidden Villains, their very first anthology, and it's a psychological horror story. And one of the things that really made the story work, I think, is that I stole what Dan Curtis used to use in Dark Shadows. He used to love to have here's the damsel in distress, or whoever the heck it is,
Mm-hmm.
and here's person A, and person A is their friend, and person B is the enemy, and then you reveal at the very end, oh no, run from person A, they're the real enemy, person B is really the friend, and so
Yeah.
you have this mix up of who's the real bad guy, and I like that idea. I was thinking of doing a few more things like that. But
Okay.
that's a large part of what started me. And then I discovered the Heinlein juveniles. Wow. I just devoured every one of them I could get. And of course, then went on to read other science fiction, Ray Bradbury, Arthur C. Clarke, Isaac Asimov, all of the masters, from back then, and Andre Norton.
Okay.
Then when I discovered Anne McCaffrey, that was mind blowing.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where I get a lot of, that's who I am. That's a large part of who I am, is all that.
For sure. So yeah, so we started in I mean, the some of the TV genres, but you mentioned some big names in the genre: Bradbury, Asimov,
Mhm.
Caffrey. That's
All
cool.
of them, all of them. Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Okay. Awesome. Are there any authors who, I mean, you have, I mean, not just your favorites to read, but like you have consciously or maybe subconsciously inspired you? Like I mean, maybe it's the same answers, but like, are there any you tried to emulate in your writing specifically?
Not consciously, but I think I do tend to pick up, when you read a lot, you tend to pick up, there's ways things, different authors phrase things or word things. And I found there's a few things I've picked up from various authors.
Okay.
And what was funny was I had one friend tell me that my writing reminded him of Timothy Zahn, and I'd never even read Timothy Zahn at the time.
I was thinking that I haven't read your stuff. But I'm a big Zahn fan. I've read all I think all of his Star Wars books and one of his others so far.
Yeah, and another, and it's, yeah, and I had, well, and there's, but I know Zahn. I've read his stuff now, but back then it was like I think I might have read. My kids had the Zahn books. I mean, they were big into Star Wars. Well, I was too, but
Yeah,
I was too busy raising them
sure.
to do as much reading back then. And yeah, but that I think I've probably unconsciously picked up some things from Lois McMaster Bujold, because if I'm saying her last name right, because I have found there's a few words and phrases and things that when I'm rereading my own stuff, editing or whatever, I'm like, oh, that sounds like I stole that from her.
Yeah, it's
But
funny.
rewriters do that. We pick up things we like, wordings, phrases,
Even
ways
without
of
realizing it.
describing things.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, you're naming some of the big names. I have not read your work yet, but I mean, yeah, I know. Yeah, my TBR list is a little is a little long, but I'd be glad to put you on it. But no, it's just hearing like it's on, especially for me. I mean, I'm like that's that's high praise for me.
Well, that was one dude, and that was many, many years ago. So,
I'll still take it. Yeah, I'm with on.
who knows? Who knows? It might have just been a quirk.
Okay.
I can't say.
Yeah. Um, what are you reading right now? Anything interesting?
I do have. Oh, drop the book.
Mhm. She was waiting. Oh, awesome. Yeah. The okay, so if it was
This
just
is
yeah,
the brand new annotated, revised, and expanded edition of The Hobbit.
it's awesome. Yeah.
And when
So
you're into the canon of Middle Earth, like I am, this book is awesome. I mean,
yeah.
I'll get, I won't, no one will watch the movies with me because I will stop the movie and I will pull out the book. Notice I've got them right here. And I'll
Hmm.
say, no, it happened this way in the book. It doesn't like that in the movie. That's wrong. So no
Yeah.
one likes to watch the stuff with me because I get a little bit
Well,
slightly.
the Hobbit the Hobbit movies weren't everyone's favorite anyway, but yeah,
But even the Hobbit
they're
movies,
not quite as sacred as the Lord of the Rings movies, but even though
yeah. But the
they're
Lord
not
of the Rings movies, I'm like, yeah, I can go off on those for
yeah,
hours.
I'm sure you
No
can.
one wants to be around me if I
Look at
get
my
on
wife.
the topic.
Look at my wife. Yeah. It's annotated. Who annotated by whom? Like, who's is it?
It is annotated by Douglas A. Anderson.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was just like a commentary or
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I
awesome
mean,
commentary. That's awesome.
oh, it's so amazing. I'm loving it. I'm
Cool.
loving it.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, yeah, that looks like a nice hardcover copy. I mean,
oh yeah.
yeah,
And I don't
yeah.
often buy hardcovers because I'm cheap. So it has to really be something special for me to get it in hardcover.
Mhm. We have the Hobbit. I mean, obviously,
Oh,
but
I've
we
got several, but
yeah,
that one,
yeah. It takes a lot for me to be convinced to buy a nice edition of a book I already own, but I'm like that I might have. Yeah, I mean,
mm-hmm.
maybe for Christmas gift for my wife or something. Yeah, but
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
okay. So you're also a fan of fantasy.
Oh yeah,
Obviously there's overlap, even if you write sci-fi more. That's how I am. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I've I lean more sci-fi, but I love Tolkien. You have to, right?
yeah.
So
I'm more sci-fi, but uh, the big, I guess you could say the exception to the rule is Tolkien.
right.
Um, I
He's a
love Middle Earth. I've loved it since I was a kid. I remember being on my bed in my bedroom crying when I was about 13 because I would never be able to really go to North Ithilien, the Garden of Gondor. And it sounded so beautiful. And I love plants and gardening and stuff. And I wanted to go there. And I just laid on my bed as a, very emotional 13-year-old girl and cried because I could never really go to Middle Earth. So yeah, that I've been a fan of him for his stuff for
yeah,
a
yeah,
long time.
yeah, yeah. Good to hear. Yeah. Again, a nerd's nerd, which is yeah, yeah. I have more respect for you already, but Rick posted a comment in the chat, and I was going to ask something like this anyway. But can you? He said, "Can you give a description of Deuces Wild? Like you told us the genre, but can you give us like the premise? Who's the major characters? What's the plot? I mean, obviously no spoilers, but an
Right.
overview for those who want to read it and want to get into it."
Um, okay, well, I'll start by saying my favorite Western is the book, not the movie, the book, Shane.
Okay,
So, and if you haven't read it, read it.
I have not. I'll have to.
Oh my gosh. He was a slender man dressed in black. I will never forget the description of Shane in the book.
Okay,
And so when I was thinking of putting together something that was Pioneer Planets wouldn't have high tech. Now that I got straight from Tunnel in the Sky from Heinlein. You're
okay.
going to want horses and cattle and chickens. You're not going to want high tech. You want something that can take care of itself, that you can, you don't have to worry about high tech fixes for something going wrong. Everything's going to be very Pioneer Planet, very basic. Like when we had the wagon trains going out west. So you go to a new planet, it's all low tech. So there's going to be ranches, there's going to be farms. It's going to be very, you're going to have like maybe a spaceport where everything lands. So you get supplies and stuff, yes, but you're going to be self-sufficient. You're going to have ranches. So I'm thinking, okay, a rancher,
A little bit like Tatooine, maybe.
Pardon me?
Maybe a little like Tatooine in Star Wars.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
Or
And
I don't
so
know if
you
you
have,
watched like Firefly. That's another.
oh yeah. Well,
Okay.
it's funny. I hadn't seen or heard of Firefly, and after I turned in the first 4 chapters of Deuces Wild to John Cook, he said, have you ever seen Firefly? And I said, no. And he said, you need to.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so it starts off, and I use the basic premise from Shane. Shane comes in, and there's a big rancher who's trying to drive out all the little ranchers. I changed it up to a mafia gangster type that was trying to run the planet.
Okay.
And the most fertile area on the planet was where these separatists lived. So he's going in, he actually kills off, my main character's name is Slap. We eventually find out his real name, but his nickname is Slap.
Yeah.
One of the first things that his partner, Shane or Tristan, thinks about him is like, well, it could be worse. His name could be Lenny. Which if you've not seen Of Mice and Men, you don't get the hint.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but this bad guy has burned his farm, his ranch, killed his family, left him for dead. And he survives, and he comes back, and this little slender guy dressed in black, basically the same kind of description as they gave in Shane. They come across each other by accident in a bar. He accidentally helps this guy dressed in black, and they find out that the same bad guy is after the both of them. So this cowboy and this space mercenary gunslinger type have to join forces to fight off the bad guy.
Cool.
And that's the premise of what starts the series. And then, of course, they eventually begin a friendship, although Tristan wants to deny it because he wouldn't be friends with someone like this hick cowboy, but it is what it is. So that's the basis of how the stories start. And then they go from one wild adventure to the next.
I assume so. In a 3-book series, is it are you gonna continue it? Is it only 3 books?
Oh no, they won't let me quit.
There'll be more.
Won't let me quit.
Okay, awesome. You mean the characters won't let you quit?
They won't. My characters rule. I don't.
Yeah, that's how it often is. Yeah. Okay. It sounds fun. It sounds like wild and wacky space adventures.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's got some dark themes, but anything that's really dark is off camera.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah,
it's family friendly, even though but it's written on an adult level. The vocabulary, everything is adult. It's not written for kids that way.
yeah.
But it's family friendly. Anything really bad's off screen.
Okay. It sounds good. You actually are making me want to check it out.
Good.
I do interviews like these, and I I just don't have time to read everyone's books, but I'm a sci-fi guy. It sounds like something I'd like to read, so I will have to add it to my list.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, And I think even, I mean, without harping on too much on the similarities, I mean, even Star Wars in many ways has those Western themes of, I mean, because that's what inspired George Lucas, because it's like, the lone hero fighting against the bad guy. I mean, the
Hmm.
Mandalorian has been very much like
Oh, yeah.
a cowboy fighting against the bad guy, and trying to save these little villages and stuff. There's, you very much have the Wild West aspect in a lot of the planets. So it's just, it's cool how that works together a lot of times. Okay. So I often ask people, like, what is the hardest part of writing for them, and I will ask you that, but the answer I get most often is just finding the time. So I was going to ask you first, what else occupies you during the day? How do you find the time to write, or do you have more time than some of us do? I don't know.
Um, well, I have a part-time job in the evenings, a few days a week.
Okay.
Um, so, but that's, and I have to rest because my job requires me to be up. I'm actually a very RBF introvert.
Okay.
But when I'm around people, I do not have a get off my lawn personality. I have oh, I must be up and bubbly for everybody
Yeah.
personality.
That's,
So,
that's, that's good when you have.
like this, I'm having to be
When you
up
have.
and bubbly. So when the camera goes off, I'm going to go, you know, because
I'm
I,
very much the same. Yeah.
yeah. So when
I'm
I
calm,
have to
good
be up and
face.
bubbly at work for the parents as well as the kids, especially the kids. And so I have to do rest during
Yeah.
the day to have the energy to be up.
What kind,
So depending on what
what
I'm
kind of job
writing,
is it? Parents and
pardon me,
kids? What kind of job is it? Versus
I'm
parents?
a gymnastics coach.
Cool. Okay. Okay.
So, so during the day, on days I work, I generally don't do a lot. It's more of maybe going through ideas,
Sure.
remembering, oh, wow, this character, I didn't bring out enough of the fact that he ought to be more bitter about this situation. I need to bring that out more. So a lot of time, it's a more of working things in rather than the actual writing. Um, So the days I work, I'm not doing a lot of the writing. It's the days I don't work that I write.
Okay.
So,
But you have a system that works for you.
yeah, it works mostly, unless my characters decide they don't like what I'm doing and they go on strike or something.
Yeah. You mentioned kids. I mean, I assume your kids are grown. Do you have
Oh my,
grandkids?
yeah, I've got four kids, three wonderful kids in law, and I've got nine grandkids.
Wow, congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, I
So,
mean, are you like part-time grandma, or I don't know how often get to see them, but family
um,
community.
well, they're all over. I've got one's in Philadelphia, two in North Carolina, one's in Seattle, but the rest are all local.
Okay.
So, I get to see more than half of them
Good, good.
fairly well, not as often as I'd like because I generally just when I'm home, I'm here. It's like
Sure.
chill because I need to rest because I'm not young anymore. So, but a couple of the grandkids are old enough to drive, so they could come and see me.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, you got a full plate. You got family around. You got your part-time job. I'm sure you got other things going on too, but you're still making time to write. You have the
Mhm.
system that works for you. And I mean, I guess I'm assuming, but maybe it sounds like if you have your job, if your job's only part-time, maybe your books are bringing in some decent income to help. I don't know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's picking up.
Good.
It's picking
Good.
up.
That's
I'd
awesome.
like it to be more, but and actually for me, and I'm saying this as a widow on limited income who
Okay.
needs a part-time job, but it's not about the money.
Sure.
It's about wanting people to love what I've written.
Yeah.
And if money were no object, I'd give the bloody books away just to get people to read them.
Hmm.
Which is why, like on my first book of each series, I keep it 99 cents. It's a loss leader.
Wow.
So I don't make anything on those, but then you see people coming back and you see, okay, I've sold I've sold, this many Sword's Edge in each month, for example, or this many Beginner's Luck in the Deuces Wild series. And then you see people coming back and they're buying Stacking the Deck or Raising the Stakes, or they're buying Children of the Anansi, Laws and Prophecies. Oh, and occasionally someone even bothers to pick up the prequel. Look at that. And this, I love this book because this book is all about, it's shiny. Ooh, look at that.
Yeah.
This book is actually, I did research for like 10 years for that book. And hopefully you can't tell because everything's integrated to the point where you can't, it's just there. It's not a bunch of technical stuff, but it's there if you were to dig or, but that book it's on another planet. It's a dystopian world that's dying, and it involves all sorts of fun things, but it's just people are living in domes and it's all sorts of.
Yeah. Well, Deborah in the comments just said, I love that book. So, you've had some people giving you positive feedback. Some people have enjoyed it. So
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. What was I going to say next? So yeah, I mean, I know none of us do it for the money. I mean, if you
I know some people do, but
yeah, well, I was gonna say, if you are, you're in the wrong profession, or probably, because I mean,
oh yeah,
maybe those who hit it big, but I mean, most of us get into this because we have a story to tell, and we want to tell a story. But
yeah.
I mean, when you're devoting that much of your life to it, and you've published at least 6 books so far,
Seven, yes.
and you're working on more.
I'm working on, yep.
Yep, and it's nice if you could. I mean, since that is like taking up the hours of a job, it's nice if you can actually make some money from it. So that's cool. I mean, I know the dream is to be able to live on your author income for all of us, for a lot of us, and most of us aren't overnight millionaires. But
yeah, I always think it's funny on these when you see a TV show or something. Oh, I've sold a book and now I can just. I'm a successful writer and I can just, I'm like, yeah, right.
If that was ever true, it's not true anymore. My dad is a professor. He's wanted to write a book for a long time. He's published two novels now. He's still a professor. Yeah, he didn't quit his day job over those 2 novels. So yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay. But you're on the journey, and like a lot of us are. You're hopefully moving toward greater recognition, and we're all trying to get our name out there. And I mean, again, not that it's about the selling or whatever, but that's you want to reach an audience, and you want people to connect with your books, and we're all
absolutely
on that journey.
Absolutely.
It sounds like you're having some success, and
yeah.
I
actually have more success locally when I go to author events.
Okay, cool.
I have online. I go to an author event locally and people will come rushing up to my table. Is the next book out? Is the next book out? And I'll have like several different. I've had people at my look at my work, and someone will come over and they'll jab one of my books and say, "Buy these books, they're awesome." And I'm like, "Thank you. I don't even know who you are, but thank you." It's strange. One woman actually came up. She was rather threatening, and she jabbed her finger down on the Deuces Wild books and said, "When is the next book coming out?" And I'm like, "I don't know. The characters get finished telling me what to do." But it was like, okay. So yeah, locally, when I have an event, I have a lot of people locally, but that's just in the Delmarva area.
Yeah.
I'm picking up a little bit more. I'm going to some cons, and it's one con in New Jersey. Cool. Lovely con, man, I love it. It's called Nerd Fest in Swedesboro, New Jersey, and I'm picking up some regulars there that come back. Oh, I got the first book the last time. I want to get the rest of the series now. I'm like, why didn't you buy them online? I want them signed. Okay, here they are. So, that's exciting to be kind of locally, marginally.
Locally famous, kind of. Yeah, that's cool.
I could get that online. That would be great.
Yeah, one thing at a time. I know it takes time to get there, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And cool. I warned you, I never stopped talking, so you just have to cut me off.
Okay. Well, in that case, Rick asked the question in the comments. Which book was the first one you published, and when was it?
The first one.
Hmm.
First one was Deuces Wild. Beginner's Luck was actually the first book published.
Okay.
That was published in, making me think. All the little gray saddles in my brain came out in my hair now. I think it was 2008.
Okay. So 15 years you've been doing this.
Well, published. It's been a
Oh,
lot longer than that I've been
yeah,
writing.
true, true, true.
Yeah,
15 years.
first book published, I think, was in
You-
2008. Go on Amazon and look, Rick. Come on.
Yeah, Rick, come on. No, that's funny. But no, yeah. Okay. No, that's good. I mean, yeah, and I mean, 7 books in 15 years is
It's
not a
not
bad.
good.
Yeah. I mean, that's more than I've done. That's more than a lot of people have done. So I think,
I had a big stall. My husband had cancer, and
you mentioned, yeah.
so a lot of my writing time was curtailed in taking care of him and still trying to hold down the job and everything. But I should have more published, since even after he died, there should have been more published, but it's just, I guess I'm not a fast writer. I think it's because I'm too picky. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I get it. We're all working on, well, we all have different styles, we all have different schedules, and we just kind of do it.
Yeah.
And obviously a major life event will throw you for a loop, as it should and must. When about was that? When was he sick?
He died in 2014,
Okay.
and it was almost 4 years, so 2010.
Wow. It's rough.
And I was working on Sword's Edge in the second book of the Deuces Wild series, both of them, and got some work done. I got Sword's Edge published before he died, and I rushed it a bit. There's things I wish I could go back and tweak, but he was so proud of me. He wanted to see that book published. So it was published that year before he died. So, if there's anything that needs tweaking or changing, it's like, oh, well, but
Yeah, no. Well, thanks for sharing. I'm sure I'm sure that was a difficult time for you, and I mean, I'm sure he'd be proud of the work you're still doing. So it's nice.
I think so.
Nice
Yeah.
to hear you. It's so supportive. That's great.
Yeah.
And
He
you're
didn't like my stuff, but he supported me. He liked stuff like Clive Cussler
okay.
and Michael Crichton. So what I wrote was not his cup of tea.
And the action thriller stuff.
Oh yeah. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Okay. But hey, he was supportive, and I'm sure life hasn't necessarily been easier since then, but you're still on the journey, and you're still chasing your dreams. That's commendable. Yeah.
Well, what's the alternative?
Yeah. Good question. Yeah. Not worth answering. But okay. Thanks for sharing. You told us about how you find the time and everything, how that works for you. What about when it comes to the craft of writing and editing, and just the writing editing process? Like, what's the hardest part for you, do you think?
The hardest part?
Sure, or a challenge you've overcome, or
Plotting.
plotting. Okay, are you a plotter or
I'm a
a
pantser.
answer, meaning you thought about this?
I'm like a reporter. I follow my characters around and I record what they do. That doesn't necessarily mean there's a plot. It just means they're doing things.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's supposed to be character driven, is what they say.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can write thousands of seriously, I have right now, my work in progress is 90,000 words. And now I have my one writing buddy who's been my writing buddy for what, 20 some years. She says, oh, there's a plot in there. And I'm like, really? What is it? And she told me, and I was like, I don't, if it is, it's not enough of a plot to hold everything together. I need something that's really like a glue to hold the whole book together.
Is that
I
book
feel
4?
like it's just a whole bunch of incidents happening. And she's like, no, but they're all because of blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so I don't know if there's a plot to the book or not. So I have another friend who's looking it over for me. Who knows what she's going to tell me, because she's one of the most awesome authors I've ever known. She's amazing. So I'll have to see what she says. I'm scared what she's going to give me.
that sounds a little like my wife. She's like just her story she's working on, and she'll tell you this too. It's I mean, she has, and she wants to cut it down, but it's like 100,000 words or more, and we're still kind of waiting for the villains to show up and to show themselves. And like, yeah, it's going along, and I've been there because my novel I had to cut down a lot before I started submitting it to places. So I get it.
Yeah.
We do that. So then so
So are
then
you a pantser?
I am a plotter,
Oh,
for
are
sure.
you?
But I have a lot of plot to tell. So um, I well, my novel is dealing with an ensemble cast, so that's different. So I was trying to give everyone's backstories and stuff, and and it was too long, so it was just, yeah, we'll have to figure it out from there. But then do you at least attempt plotting, or then how do you handle that then if it's not your strong suit?
I have an overall story arc that goes over many years of how what things happen and how their world changes from one basically their culture, their government, everything is going through turmoil. And I have well, my original plot was completely destroyed. I had a character walk into a place, he sauntered, actually, he swaggered into
Mhm.
a scene and said, "Hi, I'm taking over." And I was like, all right. And it was funny. I found out later this Tolkien had the same thing happen with Faramir. But he
Yeah.
walked in, I'm like, I kind of like this guy. He's funny. Hey, I've been looking for a red shirt to kill. Everyone will love him. I'll kill him off. All my characters went and they were like, nope, if you kill him off, we're not cooperating anymore. And I'm like, well, great. So because of him, my whole story arc had to be revised because he just messed everything over greatly.
Okay.
But I have it. It's an overall story arc. I know what happens here. I know what happens. There's going to be a spoiler, and then there's going to be this other thing that spoiler. But getting the plots from each book to get to each of the major overall story arc is not always easy.
I get that. I start with like an idea of where I want kind of. I start with the end in mind, and like I didn't do that on purpose. I just I can just picture like the final climax and such, and the moments I want to happen, and then I'm like, okay, well, how do I get there from the beginning? So yeah, it's just
Yeah.
different for everyone. Okay, yeah. So, but it's, I mean, it sounds like you're listening to the characters, which is what we need to do, and you're 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 not forcing them. You're making it natural and letting them tell their story, which should make it good. So great. Then what's your biggest strength in writing, or what's one thing you think your books do really well?
World building.
Okay. Yeah, what's
Okay.
the world like of Deuces Wild? I know it's a space western, but and you told us a little bit before, but it's like there's no well, yeah, can you share about the world a little bit? There's
Which
space.
world and
Um
which series?
Deuces
Deuces
Wild.
Wild. Deuces
Yeah.
Wild starts off on the planet Xenos, which is a pioneer planet in the three systems. Um, and the most of the planet is very desert. The spaceport is like a desert city. Think something like Vegas or something, which is just right in the middle of a desert, which is great for a spaceport because hey, you don't have to worry about, you know. And then there's this huge valley, which is actually it's huge. This valley is huge. It's like Australia, big, huge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where most of the fertile land is on the planet. That's where one of the major alien races, we've only been introduced to one, but there's more than one. Well, as Tristan likes to tell Slap, we're the aliens, they're the natives,
Yeah,
you
I was
know.
gonna ask, do you have aliens or is it just human colonies?
Yeah,
But
so it's a human colony and there's the natives, the major the major race of the natives uh, are also in parts of that valley, and they have a bit of a understanding with the humans. But they go to all different planets. In each planet, I try to make each planet. I remember they landed on one planet in I think it was book 2. They run together after a while. All I know is they're hopping from planet to planet.
okay.
And one of the things I remember someone saying one time, and I was like, oh, I haven't done that. Yay. Someone was saying it seems like no matter what planet you go to, it's the weather and everything's the same all over the planet. Well, the one planet they go to, they're trying to drop off supplies, and it's a grassy, wide grassy area, and they're just dropping the supplies off for the colony there. And then when they take off, they end up having to fly toward north, and they end up in a very icy area. And I was like, and so when someone was complaining about, I wanted so badly, I don't like to break into groups and say things like, well, my books don't do that, but I wanted to so badly. It's like,
Yeah,
you know, each
yeah,
planet's different. Every time they have to go to a new planet, it's like I have to go to that planet first
hmm
and make sure it's what it needs to be. So they're not cookie cutter, you know.
yeah. That's cool. That's cool. I know world building is not necessarily a strength of mine. It is for my wife, and that's also part of why she has a hard time with plotting, because she likes to play in the world a lot and describe the world a lot, and then
Oh
doesn't get,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh
same
yeah.
view. Okay, okay.
Oh yeah.
You know how that works. Yeah, that's cool. It's it sounds like you've a well thought out world, and it's an immersive story that makes it an immersive story. So awesome. What what advice or what writing tips could you offer to other writers who maybe want to be where you are now?
Don't stop writing. If you're a
Uh,
writer, you've got to write. Don't let anyone discourage you.
so it
Don't let
goes.
anyone tell you, oh, you'll never make money. Oh, no one will ever read that. Keep writing. Keep reading,
Hmm.
because reading is how you learn to write. It's how you learn to see different people, different authors' strengths, their voices, the way they craft things, and then you just assimilate things from the writers. You're not copying them, but you're learning from them, and you're helping to make them. It's like when you look at painters were, I love the Impressionists, and I love a lot of the Renaissance painters. And when you see I remember once I went to, it was the Detroit Institute of Arts, and they had the Hermitage. A lot of the Hermitage paintings were on display, and there was one by Ivan Konstantinovich Aivazovsky, and that it was just such an amazing painting, and the colors and different things he used. And I moved on to a different painter, and I was like, I feel like it's not the same guy, but the similarity in the use of the colors and stuff. Come to find out, he had been an influence on Aivazovsky.
Okay.
So it's the same with writers. We
Yeah.
influence each other, and we,
Nothing
say, "Oh, I
wrong.
don't write." I know one woman. She's got a book. She's trying to get it published, and she says, "I never read anything because I don't want to inadvertently steal someone else's idea or something." And so I'm like, "No, I'm sorry. It's that's what it's all about. It's
We're
we
all stealing
read
other people's
together
ideas,
things,
or at
you
least,
know."
giving homages to other people's ideas, and just mixing up things in a new way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're all sitting on the shoulders of giants, aren't we?
Yeah, and the thing is, like for example, I just did a writing workshop for 10 to 13 year. Don't you do that? It's contagious.
Sorry.
And one of them and we were, so when they finished their writing assignment, we had a minute or two left, and so they asked me my favorite book, which is like a mistake. Don't do that. But so I asked each of them what their favorite book was. Well, Harry Potter came up, so they asked me which was my favorite Harry Potter book, and I said the first. And the one boy was like, why? It's so lame. I mean, all it is Voldemort on the back of this guy's head. I said, no, you don't understand. I love that trope. I adore that trope. Harry Potter, Luke Skywalker, King Arthur,
Yeah.
that trope of the kid
Chosen one.
who's a nobody becoming the chosen one. And I even have a bit of that. It's watered down a smidge, but I even Sword's Edge is even that trope.
Seems
The
like a lot. Yeah, I mean,
so I love we learn from each other, but it's how you change it up to make it your own.
and a lot of people love it because it's still we're still getting those stories,
Yeah,
thousands of years later.
yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so keep writing, keep reading. I mean, you gotta,
Yep.
that's where we're in.
Keep honing your craft. Never think you're
That's,
never good enough. You're always learning,
mhm.
and grow a thick skin.
Okay, that's true too. Yeah, Phil posted in the comments. He said great writers steal, and that's actually T.S. Eliot. So I guess I guess Phil saw it from T.S. Eliot now. But yeah, I mean, none of us is original, or at least as original as we like to think. We're all kind of, we're drawing on our influences,
Yeah,
standing on the shoulders of others, and just that's how it works. Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your publishing process.
Ooh.
Did you do
Um,
self or traditional, and then how did you know which path was right for you? And can you speak to some of that?
well, like I said, the first novel published was Deuces Wild, Beginner's Luck.
Hmm.
And it started off as a month-by-month serial novel. And when
That's
it was
right.
done, the publisher of Ray Gun Revival magazine,
Okay.
brought it all together and published it as a book. And then they unfortunately closed their doors, and I got the rights back and republished it myself. And I did try for years to try to get the Sword's Edge series to a traditional publisher.
Okay.
But that can be a long process, and I'm not a spring chicken. And I've been in journalism, I've done copy editing, I've been a submissions editor, I've done all this stuff. I'm not new to writing. So I'm
Okay.
not, I'm still honing my craft because you never stop, but I'm not a new writer,
Mm-hmm.
and so I felt that for me, waiting to be discovered by some agent, I had one agent, and they decided, oh, we've got too many clients, and they dropped me. I had a second agent do the same thing.
Sorry.
A
Uh,
third, it's like, really? So I'm like, okay, I'm too old for this.
yeah, I'm querying agents right now, and yeah, I mean, it's been tough. I mean, I've only been at it for less than a year, so I'm going to keep trying. But I mean,
Good, go for it.
you know, I
Yeah,
I mean, the fact that I'm still querying agents means I haven't found one yet who wants to work with me yet. So yeah, I get it.
right. But as far as the publishing part, when Double Edge Publishing was out, I was actually, man, I guess I can't say no, because I got hooked into doing that too. I was actually taught how to do the formatting for both the print and the ebooks way
Okay.
back when Double Edge Publishing, and helped out with all of that. So I'm familiar with the formatting process.
Yeah.
Um, and so the only part that's hard for me is covers, because I'm cover challenged.
Okay.
I can't tell a good cover from a bad cover.
Have you had a designer to help you with them, or?
Yes, and I actually the covers on my books now are newer covers.
Okay.
And I had them redone a couple of years ago. I don't remember when now. But everyone says they're a lot better than the old covers, and I guess but I like the old covers. I like the old cover of Sword's Edge better than anything in the world. And everyone's like, it's the wrong kind of a cover for the genre, blah, blah, blah. And I go, okay. So I just, got it, looked over various cover artists and picked one that wasn't too expensive and that had a good reputation, and they do my covers. So that's the hardest part for me. Well, other than actually writing it.
Yeah, there is that little snag. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And you touched on this earlier because you mentioned some local events you go to, but I was going to ask you, what have you done, or what are you doing for like self-promotion, engaging the audience building, that kind of thing? For better or for worse, that's part of a writer's job these days. We all are putting ourselves out there. So what kind of steps have you taken towards that?
Well, I'm still trying to figure out Amazon ads.
Okay. Yeah.
I just totally, every time I think I've got a handle on it, things change, and I'm like, no. I have found it's taken a lot of trial and error, and I'm not talking about the big book bub deals. but you can do like where you create a little personal ad and it goes out in their emails and different things. I've gotten some small steady success with that. I try to post stuff on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and MeWe that is writing related. Not often, I don't make it very often about buy my books because that just gets old fast. But covers of favorite books, sometimes covers of books that aren't necessarily my favorite books, but that had an impact on me.
Yeah.
Author memes, writing memes, because those are fun, and you can, and so many people can relate to them. Things that just kind of draw people in. I am the lousiest person for PR ever. So I just sit back and someone suggests something and I try it. I know I've got a newsletter. It goes out maybe twice a year if I'm lucky.
Okay.
Because what do you say in a newsletter if you haven't published a book?
Right.
I mean, I put one out because I had 3 events in November. That was wow, because I did the children's thing, and then next week is author and a local author and audiences things. We've got Mindy Klasky is coming to be our keynote speaker. So I put a newsletter out for that. And I've got a blog I never use. So
okay. Yeah. Well, I'm not the expert, so I mean, take this with a grain of salt. It could be the blind leading the blind, but I mean, just sharing relatable memes on social media is more PR than you realize, because I mean, people want like human connection, and I mean, you know, I'm also trying to market to other readers and writers, because that's the people who read books. So I mean, yeah, just like kind of showing the solidarity with that community is I would think a good way to get people interested and to attract attention.
Matter of getting enough base though, because if it's the same people always who get the same things,
that's true.
And you know, you need to get that expanded. And I'm like, how do you do that?
And that's true. And attention always doesn't. I mean, getting their attention isn't the same as selling them a book. So
right.
Yeah, you know, it's different. I know, you know, I'm not a marketing expert. I've learned a few things in the past few years. I've listened to the marketing podcast, so I kind of know how they talk about making it, you know, trying to get customers to the sale and stuff like that. And yeah, it's uphill battle is what they say. So yeah, okay. But you're doing it. You're you know, you have some internet presence and definitely local events, like you said. You mentioned just some of the social media you're on. Can you tell us again and tell us like where to find you on social media and usernames and stuff?
Well, if you look, does it show up for everybody else like it does for me? LORIENDIL.
Yes, that's yours. Yeah.
That's me. If you just Google that word, that's me. I have not found anyone else. Years ago, there was a Lorien Dill on the Lord of the Rings online forums. That was not me. But she's disappeared. She or he has disappeared over the years. So I think anything you pop up that says Lorien Dill is going to be me. And my website is loriendill.com. For those who can't remember Lorien Dill, I have a lsking.com pops over to the Lorien Dill site. So you could go lsking.com as well.
Yeah. These are most of your I'm Googling it now. Yep, I'm seeing you.
Yep, it's me.
I mean it sounds Tolkienian, like the word Lorien.
It is. It's Sindarin.
Okay. What does it mean?
Well, it can have several meanings or variations of meaning, but basically it means one who loves dreams.
Nice.
And the reason I picked that is because so many times my ideas for stories come from dreams. I'll wake up and go, ooh, Sword's Edge, the whole bloody thing, everything came. It all started from a dream I had in 1985. And,
cool.
You know, so that's what I do. I write down my dreams. I have a thing by my bed so I can write down my dreams, and hopefully in the morning I can understand.
Do you speak Sindarin?
A few words here and there, and my accent's really bad though.
I wondered like how far down the rabbit hole you were. I did not at all.
Not as much. I used to know a lot more. When I actually first saw Fellowship of the Ring in the theaters, I understood every word of Sindarin that they spoke.
Wow. Okay.
Now I'm like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay. Huh. That's still impressive. Yeah, yeah, I applaud you. Okay, well, we're near the end of our hour mark.
Yeah, we are.
And so it's been a great conversation. Where can people find your books? I mean, Amazon, I assume. Where
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Apple, Google, Kobo, and whoever else. I don't know.
and your website, obviously.
My website links to all of those. I don't have a
Okay.
selling
Okay.
thing on my website.
Are they in Barnes and Noble like physical stores or just the website?
Just the website.
Okay.
You're not going to find them in a brick and mortar. I'm not famous enough.
One can hope, but yeah. Well, yet, not famous
Yeah,
enough yet. Mhm. Yeah.
buy
Okay.
my book so I can be in a book and a
Yeah.
mortar.
Yeah.
Okay, folks?
And then once this video goes viral, I'm sure they'll change for you overnight now.
Oh yes.
I mean, hey, we don't know. But okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, you're on the journey like the rest of us. But you're making sounds like you're making an impact at least in your local community and hopefully beyond that too. You've touched on this, but what do you have in the works now or in the future? You mentioned your work in progress. Is that book 4 of one of the series?
That's book 4. It's the untitled because I'm lousy at titles.
Is it book 4 of
It's the
Swords Edge
unnamed
or Deuces
book
Wild?
4 of the Swords Edge Chronicles.
Okay.
It's 90,000 words. It's allegedly complete in very rough draft, although the epilogue still needs to be written. Oh my gosh, I don't want to write that epilogue. Maybe I can hire it out. I've also got ideas for the next Deuces Wild book because those characters won't shut up. But I haven't started writing anything yet because I wanted, my voice is actually different in each series.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that is just based on their culture and their personalities.
Yeah.
Because there's if you the Deuces Wild book is, well, you've got Slap, and he's a hick cowboy and he loves to amp up his accent just to piss off Tristan. So he's like, very beginning of the 3rd book, he's sitting there with his cowboy boots on the table reading a book, and he says, did you know grunkle's a word? And his buddy's coming out just to get coffee, just woke up, and he's like, yes. So he just loves to do that. So it's a very different voice. It's a very different kind of it's it's a more of a fun series, where Swords Edge is just that epic thing.
Yeah.
So I don't like to mix up and work on different books at the same time, because then I've got to remember to change my voice.
Sure. I would think it'd be difficult too. So you get in one mode versus the other one. Okay. Cool. Well, okay. Fans and new fans as of today can look forward to those too. Well, we're about out of time. So thank you, Lee, for coming on today and for just chatting with us and sharing part of your world.
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's been a good talk. I'm glad to have you. Anything else you want to say for people at home?
Be safe.
Yeah, putting on
Good.
the spot. So
don't do anything I wouldn't do.
There you go. Okay. Well, thank you for being here today. Thank you those in the chat. We had a lively chat today, which is awesome. Thank you, everyone.
I actually turned that off because my glasses show every bit of light. And when I had the sidebar where I could see everything, all you could see on the one side was white. So I couldn't see the chat.
Sure.
I think,
not all
if you're recording this, I can go back later and look at it.
Yeah. I'll send you the link, and it'll be on my page afterward. So thanks for everyone who is watching and who posted comments.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. And go follow Lee and her work online. Look for Laura Yendil, whatever platform you're on. Of course, you can also like my page, Samuel N. Harris, for future discussions and content for writers. I can also sign up for my mailing list at my pinned post. Just go check that out. When you sign up, you'll get a free sample of my story, Fractured Hero, with a few of my favorite scenes that I think you'll enjoy. And of course, check out Lee's work and support her too. So thanks everyone for watching today. Thank you, Lee, for being here with us. Have a great weekend and keep writing.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.